Let's dive into the Switch 2 Pro controller, which looks very similar to the old Switch Pro controller. These are standalone controllers that pair to the new Switch 2 and provide a more comfortable gaming experience when compared to the standard Joy-Cons. The Switch 2 Pro controller has a number of new features to help it earn that Pro title. Let me tell you all about it. Both controllers feel pretty similar in your hands, which is good since I always felt the Switch Pro controller was very comfortable. They're the same size and shape, the button layout is mostly the same, but you'll notice the original has a subtle texture to its grip, while the 2's is all smooth. I actually find that new controller to be even a bit more comfortable than the first one. Just like the new Joy-Cons, there is a GameChat button near the bottom. This is where you can form parties with your friends to video and/or voice chat together. It also gives you the option to share your screen so that you can watch each other play while you're gaming, albeit with a really low resolution and poor frame rate. Also keep in mind that you can just pop back out to the Switch main menu and open GameChat manually from there, without needing to hit the button. It's simply just a shortcut. The new Pro model also adds back buttons on the underside of the handles. These are the GL and GR buttons. Back buttons are pretty standard on Pro-style controllers, but were absent on the first Switch Pro controller. These are programmable buttons that you can assign to act like other inputs. For example, in shooters, players will often bind duck or jump so that they can perform those actions without having to take their thumb off the right stick. Mapping these buttons is super easy through the Switch 2 settings menu, or by holding down the home button and changing them there. These button maps are also saved on a per game basis, which is great to see, so that you can specify which actions you want available individually instead of needing to adjust back and forth when you swap games. The downside is that there are only 2 buttons, one on each side, just like how PlayStation's DualSense Edge Pro controller is designed. I would have liked to have seen more options, like with the Xbox Elite controller's 4 programmable buttons, and both those Pro controllers also allow you to swap the buttons' shapes. Nintendo doesn't. Another upgrade on the Switch 2 Pro controller is a headphone jack on the bottom, which is useful if you're trying to play games quietly. Battery life remains the same as the first Pro controller, lasting around 40 hours on a single charge, which is definitely on the higher end for controller batteries. In comparison, the PlayStation DualSense Edge lasts only around 5 to 6 hours. The new Pro controller is also better when it comes to recharging. Nintendo says you can have it fully charged in about 3.5 hours. The original Pro controller took 6. The large face buttons and analog sticks feel the same as before, which is good since the originals didn't need improving. The D-pad, however, does feel like it has more give and sway to rapid inputs. Whereas the first Pro controllers felt more rigid and locked in place, the 2's has a bit more freedom of movement. This makes movements where you need to hit diagonal inputs easier to pull off, like in Street Fighter when a special move requires a quarter circle. Or I found it just simply better for adjusting character movement in a 2D platformer, like Super Mario Wonder. One of the major drawbacks for me is that Nintendo still hasn't included analog triggers in the controller. It's a feature that has been on Xbox and PlayStation controllers for years, and allows games to know when you are partially pressing a trigger down. This is important in racing games, for example, when how much you press the trigger can determine how much you'll accelerate. But nope, that's not a thing for the Switch 2 Pro controller. Let's get into the cost. The new Switch 2 Pro controller retails for $85, and that's a pretty significant jump when the original Switch Pro controllers are $70. The good news, however, is that if you want to save some money, the Switch 1 Pro controllers do work on the Switch 2. Curiously, the new Pro controller can't wirelessly connect to a PC. In fact, Steam won't even recognize the controller if you plug it in and try to set it up. But the first Pro controller works totally fine with Steam. I would hope this gets updated sometime in the future. The Switch 2 Pro controller is best for someone who primarily uses their console connected to a TV. It's an overall improvement on the first one and brings Nintendo closer to what we expect from a Pro-style design, but it becomes a harder sell if you already have the first Pro controller from the last generation. Each of the new features, back buttons, a headphone jack, quick access to GameChat, are pretty easy to live without in my opinion. I really like the look and feel of it, but it's definitely an expensive, not required accessory. But now I'm curious what you think. Did you pick one of these up? Are you interested in it at all? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.